Hello and welcome to the first video for basic flight planning using ProATC. My name's Clive, aka Alpha 117. I'm the forum moderator across on the ProATC website, and I'm also working alongside Morad, the developer of ProATC. The object of this video will be to take you through some of the basics of how to create and edit a flight plan using these options here. I'll be taking you through all this on the flight planning screen. I'll tell you everything about what happens here and how we turn this and why we do this, and hopefully you'll have a better understanding at the end of this video of how to create and edit a basic flight plan within ProATC. So that's what we're going to do. The video probably be about 30 minutes long again, and I advise you, if you haven't listened to and watched the first one, the introduction to ProATC, then please, take some time and have a look at it. I'll put some useful basic information stuff in there. I'm not going to go through that again, but please, if you've got any issues, then please go and have a look at that. Okay, so firstly then, I'm using for this video currently 1137, which was just released today, and today is the 24th of December 2012. And if you've seen our website, you'll see there's quite a bit that we've added and fixed on this current version, which is 1137. So please, if you're running a version prior to that, then please update to this version. If you're running a version that's newer than this now, because you haven't seen this video for some time, then that's fine, no problem. But my advice is please go to our website and download the latest version. The website is here, ProATC is here, and you get the download from the download tab, and you just download it and allow it to overwrite in your ProATC folder. Also, if you've got any feedback on this video or any other videos you've seen with regards to ProATC, then please feel free to leave some feedback, comments, questions, good or bad, on our website, which is here. Okay, and there's a forum here for video tutorial feedback in there. So please come along, fill it out for us, and so hopefully I can make these videos better as we go forward. So on to some flight planning. I'm not going to explain this screen. This screen was explained in the introduction tutorial, but this is where all your flight plans will end up once you've created them and edited them. One of the first things in 1137 which we've done is to allow you to actually resize the main ProATC window. This came from a user on the forum because they wanted to put that onto a second monitor and to resize this onto a second monitor. So that's one of the new features in this version, so you can resize that to your heart's content. Okay, so let's go into flight planning. How do we get there? Well, we can actually come down and hit the tab at the top here that says flight planning and go into new flight plan, edit flight plan from there, or we can fly now. Fly now means we're going to actually fly our current highlighted flight plan. In this case it would be the blue bar here. Another way to get to the same kind of screen is if I right click the highlighted flight, and as you can see the drop down is exactly the same as if I went to there. So there's two ways, either from the tab at the top or the right click on the highlight. In fact, you can right click anywhere really, and it'll just highlight your current flight plan. So let's go into that. Let's have a look at a new flight plan to start with. I'm going to maximize this window so you can see that. This flight plan window is divided into three main parts. On our left hand side here is our basic information about our aircraft, who we're flying for, our airports, cruising speeds, departures and a free text box for putting a description in. The middle bit here is where the route is going to go, all our waypoints, and you'll see this as we go through that. This will start to populate down here, and I'll talk about all the SID transitions and star transitions there. Finally, on the main part here on the right hand side is our map, which allows us to see various parts of the world. We can move our map around, and all I'm doing is holding my left button down on my mouse and then just dragging around the desktop here to move all this around from there. I can zoom into the mouse. There's two ways to zoom in. If you've got a mouse with a mouse wheel, just use your mouse wheel to zoom into wherever you want, like that. Or up here on the tab there is the minus to zoom out and the plus magnifying glass to zoom in. So there's two ways of allowing yourself to zoom around on there. I'm going to create a flight plan around the UK to Europe. I use that, and this basics applies no matter what part of the world you decide to create a flight plan in, whether it's the US, Canada, Alaska, or wherever. I use this because it's home to me, and I know this area around here quite well. So we know how to zoom around, we know how to move, so let's just find out what other options we've got on this map. I'm going to move in a bit round about like so. You'll notice at the moment the map is totally blank, apart from having the capital of the UK. And also, I'll zoom out a bit, you'll see different kind of shades here. There's no relevance to these shades apart from just helping the displays the map, so it can actually, you can tell what's what here. So there's no other relevance to those colours at the moment. You'll also see along here, along the top here, we have various buttons or tabs where we can actually display various items on the map here. So for example, if I press the airports, and the airport locations will appear on the map, and you can see here there are a little square on the map, okay, and in this area again, if I zoom out, you can see all the thousands and thousands of airports across the world. So that's that one. If I unclick that, they disappear again. Reset the map. Next one is VORs, and again for navigation, we'll have a look at these in a minute. We'll display all the navigation VOR beacons on the display area here. And it's the same for NDBs, non-directional beacons, navigational aid, and again they're displayed as a diamond here, coloured red. You've got intersections here, and all the intersections are again displayed on the map. So the map can be quite busy. You've got jetways and victorways as well. Again, they displayed on the maps, and you can only display one or the others of the jetways or the victorways. You know which ones are on display because the button is pushed down and there's a slightly different colour to the rest of the buttons there. So that's the top of the bar. That's that moving map there. One thing I want to show you on this map, and again this is a new in version 1137, and it's quite, I think it's a very good new thing that we've implemented on today. If I zoom in to an airport, and I'm going to choose a common airport I use. We use Birmingham here, International in the UK. It's in the Midlands. Echo Golf Bravo Bravo. If I now place my cursor or mouse over here, you'll see it actually brings the airport plan over, and all I'm doing is just moving my mouse over the airport. If I then zoom in a bit further and again drag it to the middle, I can get the airport diagram of the airport I mouse over. So I mouse over that one, Birmingham, and I can start to see the parking places and the plan view of the airport. And that works for all airports. If I come up to another one, let's have a look at up here. Let's look at a smaller one. Sheffield there, look. Okay, there it is. So you can start to see all the parking slots and the runways and taxiways around that. So that's just when you mouse over any airport at all there. So that's a new implementation in this version 1137, which is quite good. So that's that one. Another one you can do, and again it's new in this version, if I highlight or mouse over an airport, if I right click, I have a drop down, and here gives me one way of adding the airport I've selected as a departure airport or as a destination airport. So again, that's another new thing in this version 1137, which allows you to do that as well. So quite a bit on this map that's changed for additions, so I think it's quite good, and we'll come back and I'll show you a bit more about that very shortly. Okay, so let's move back across to this left hand column over here. Some of this is self-explanatory, but I'll just go through it. At the top here, it gives us the aircraft we're going to fly for this flight plan. If I click select, we can select various aircraft that ProATC is aware of here. And there's some in here. There's nothing under the manufacturers, and we're going to want to add those, or you can add your own. And a part of another video is I'll show you how to add these models and where you can get all the data from for these models. But our case is an NGX and for flying. So I'm just going to pick the 737-600 for this journey. We select that. Next one down here is the airline that we're flying for. A quick word about this, and I know a few people have mentioned this. Currently at the moment, ATC within ProATC will not speak the proper ATC call signs for the airline. We are working on it, and if you want to do some recordings using the voice pack, you can. I've just done it. So British Airways, as we all probably know, is ATC call sign is Speedbird, and we will get round to implementing so ATC will say the correct call signs, airline call signs for the flight you're on. So that's one that's going to come, but that's where you select here your airline. Also at the moment, VAs, virtual airlines, are not implemented at the moment, and again it's something that's on our to-do list to do, so we will be implementing some VA airlines into there. Next box here is your flight ID. That's your flight number. You can put whatever number you want in there. If it's a VA number, put a number in there, or you can actually let itself ProATC auto generate that number for you. That's quite easy to fill out. The other one we've got here now is a departure airport. Now this is where we're going to put our departure airport in. Now I've just shown you how we can actually right click an airport on the map, select airport, add airport to departure or destination. So that's one way of doing it, and I think that's will be the easy way to do it. But let's have a look at another way. Is to do select here, and it brings up this airport selection window. These are all filters here. You can filter by country, you can filter by state if it's got a state within that country, airport name, airport code, city. I always have this little box here ticked here, only airports matching to aircraft. At the moment ProATC will actually look at the takeoff runway length to decide whether your aircraft for this flight plan can legally take off from that airport, and if it doesn't, it will not appear in the list. If you untick that, you'll get a 737 taking off from a very small airfield, which it wouldn't be realistic. So I personally only have this ticked at all times. Normal search code that I use is the code, and for example we're going to do out of Birmingham, so I just typed in EGBB and then click select. What happens now is over here it puts in the airport name and ICAO code. And also here you've got different terminal, cargo center, parking positions. These are just for ATC, and you can select here what gate you want to be positioned at when you start flight sim up. Also notice here on the map now, it's now put in Birmingham in the middle, and if I zoom in I can see. So for example, if I know I wanted to start at gate 25, which is my normal departure gate here, I can come across to here and place in gate 25, which is there. Okay, so that's our airport where we're going from. Obviously we need to know where we're going to. Well, in this case it's going to be a very short flight across to Europe, and we're going to go to Amsterdam Schiphol, which is Echo Hotel Alpha Mike, and here it is there, Schiphol, and we just click select. Now you see what happens now is that ProATC has automatically put in a route for us here. Okay, so it's auto calculated a route, okay, for us. And now you'll see the population of the route part of this screen here. So we have the airport at the top for departure, and the airport at the bottom actually is the arrival airport, and in between is our route. I'm going to explain what these actually mean here, because there seems to be a bit of confusion over this as well. One thing that ProATC X needs to know before it does any calculations is 3 or 4 things. It needs to know where you're starting, it needs to know where you're going, and from that it also needs to know a thing called this thing here, SIDTS. It's a SID transition. That basically is the transition from your standard instrument departure route onto your main airways and onto your main route. So it needs to know that. And it's defined in ProATC X as this here, SIDTS, SID transition. So it needs to know that. It also needs to know the other end of the route as you fly down this route here. It needs to know this bit here, this STATS. Okay, this is your star transition. So your standard arrival into an airport or into any major airport are defined by stars, and any departures out of major airports are defined by SIDs, standard instrument departures. There's a transition between these departures and going onto the route, and also arriving at the route and going onto the star for your final approach into your destination. Once ProATC knows these, then it will calculate the in-between part, your main route that sits between your SID transition and your star transition here. So you notice here it's created all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs of the route here, and as you see on the map here, okay, we're going to take off from Birmingham, alright, out to Daventry and across East Anglia of the UK, out on the North Sea and across into Amsterdam. So a very short route, not long at all. Talking about the length of the route, another new thing on the bottom corner here is your flight plan distance, which is fantastic because you can use that distance to plug into any external fuel planner. ProATC will not calculate your route. It's not a fuel planner. Okay, so bear that in mind. So if you want to calculate the proper fuel on board, then there's a few fuel planners you can use out on the internet. One of the things that is quite good is this one here, okay, called Fuel Planner, and it's from this website. And all you're doing here is just plug in what you're flying. For in our case, 737-600. Where we're going from, where we're going to, okay, and then you can get a planner or a load sheet. If I click planner, then it works out the fuel for you from that one. So that's just one fuel planner that I use a majority of the time here, and it's quite accurate, to be honest with you. You also can get a load sheet from here as well, and you get the standard load sheet here that gives you some fuel loads, compartments, packs, etc. Dead handy if you want to go down that route as well. So that's one I use. It's there, and there's the web address there. If you want to use it, then please feel free. It's not my website, it's just on the internet. Or if you've got your own fuel planner, then please let us know. Anything that you use that's good for you, then please let us know. Just drop us a line in the off-duty ATC lounge. Okay, anything you fancy or you think really good and other people should be aware about. Okay, so this is a basic route calculation for ProATC, and that's it really. So it's as simple as that, and all we've done is put in the departure, the arrival, okay, and because we had auto on here, the green, ProATCX has calculated the route for us. Now, we might not like the route, we might think, well, no, that's not very clever, we want to go somewhere else. Very simple to do. Recalculate, and it will recalculate another route, recalculate, and you can hit that as many times as you like. Okay, and because this is only a very short route, it's very limited to the routes it will work out for you. Okay, so that's the very by recalculating that. Now what you've got to be aware of is at this stage of our flight planning, and very similar to real world dispatch, we don't know our active runway for departure, and we also don't know our active runway for our arrival, which is very real worldish. Some airports have standard arrivals and standard departure runways, and if it's a company route that the company you're flying for flies every time, then there's standard routes to be flown. But until we get clearance from ATC, and until we know the real weather at the time, and there's various ways of doing that with various weather programs on there. I use personally ProATC. I use with ProATC Opus Weather, along with a lot of other people. Myself and Morad use Opus. It's very good. So at this stage, you don't know, and you won't know until you're sat in the flight deck and you're asked for clearance. The other way around that is, in the real world, you'll get from dispatch, you would get the paperwork, which includes your route, the current weather in a METAR, and you could virtually guarantee and work out what the active runway would be before you asked or you filed your flight plan and got clearance from air traffic control. The next part of this very basic one here is that these two boxes here, you'll notice at the moment we've got SID transitions, and if I click the drop down, there's quite a few for Birmingham in the UK. Okay, and if I look at my star arrivals here, there's even more stars arrivals into Amsterdam. Now at the moment, ProATC has selected two for you: the Daventry SID transition and the LAMSO star transition into Amsterdam. If you don't like those or you want to change those, it's quite simple, because we can come down, for example, if I want the TNT transition, I can click that and it recalculates it straight away, and you'll notice here, look, I've now got my SID transition is Tango November Tango here, TNT. Alright, it takes me that way, and again I could select another one, okay, and it recalculates it and it takes us miles up there. You'll also notice that the flight plan distance changes as well. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to have the Compton transition possibly, and you'll notice the route is recalculated for you, and it's the same for the star as well. A lot of the star transitions are the Redfer, especially out the UK, going in to Schiphol in Amsterdam, and you can see there's a bit of a long-winded route there, 326 nautical miles. Okay, and if I change the SID transition to DTY, Daventry. My flight plan distance decreases here, look, and also it's a bit more of a direct route. Okay. So also one of the last thing I want to mention here is the altitude restriction here. The altitude restrictions on the star transitions are read from the current AirAct data that you have installed within your own ProATC. So that's where the information is taken from here. So here, look, you'll notice that there is just an altitude restriction below or equal to 23,000 feet. Okay, and when we hit red for transition there. Okay, so it's as simple as that, really, to be honest, on this one. So this is auto, I say very basic. Across to here we've got our cruising altitude. This is taken from the aircraft data, but you can change that in here to be whatever you want. I don't cruise at flight level 2000. Across to there, 28. Or you can recalculate. The button here is a little button to recalculate. I'll set it back to 32. Okay, but again, that is normally set by dispatch or the company. Cruising speed here, you can set your own cruising speed for the aircraft you're in, and your descent rate. Okay, set it to auto, which helps ATC to calculate your top of descent, ready for your arrival into your destination. The other one here is your departure date and time. It will default to the current date and time. As you can see, it's the 24th of December. It's 1700 here in the UK. And it is, when I first started, 1722 now. Underneath here is a free flow text box, and you can type whatever description you want to write in here. It's free flow, okay, do what you want, okay, from that. So there we go, look. Sometimes in here I'll just write a little description just to remind me, yeah, flight plan created by ATC, flight plan was created manually or by FS Build or Flight Sim Commander or whatever. So it's just a little idea there. Once you're happy with your route here, then you can just come down and click Save here. Another thing you probably noticed is this is more for you if you've been using ProATC for some time. We've now changed some of these buttons now where it used to say abort to cancel. So you'll find in this version 1137 all those buttons have been changed to their correct saying, whether it's cancel. Okay, that's really about it on this one at the moment. There's a bit more to cover, but we're going to cover that on the advanced one, which will be the next video. This is nearly 29 minutes, so I'm just going to quickly summarize what we've gone over in the last 28 minutes on this video. To select a flight plan, all we do is you can come to here, look, click that, new flight plan, and then we can then select our aircraft, select who we're flying for, our flight, select our departure, select our destination here, and if I just put in again Birmingham, alright, and we're going to go to Schiphol, Amsterdam, and then we click select. Goes away and calculates it and gives us a route. It's as quick as that, to be honest with you, and that's how it works. Bearing in mind we've got auto on. On the next video I will show you how you can manually change your route, how you can manually create a route from nothing. Okay. Also, if you're not happy with the route that ProATC gives you, just click recalculate and it will recalculate the route. If you're not happy with the SID transition, then you can change it here and it will auto calculate for you. And the same here with the star transition here, you can change that as well. Okay. Bear in mind also here, look, we've got this new thing at the bottom here, flight plan distance 326 nautical miles, handy for to going into a fuel calculations. And that's it. And once you've done that, you're happy, click save, and your flight plan will appear on there. Also, you can right click and mouse over the airports, okay, and see what they are. And if I just go in a bit closer, you can see Conisbee is only a small one, and you mouse over it and you're there. And also, if you don't want to select an airport here, I'll just cancel out of that, okay, and I'll just show you. Okay, I click fly now for some strange reason. Stop. New flight plan. I showed you how to select the airport over here, but on this way, for example, if I just purely use the map and achieve the same thing, okay, select airports, and I'm going to go from Birmingham here. I can right click it and do add airport as departure. I can then come across to the map here, and I'm going to select Schiphol Airport as destination, and it calculates it for you. It's as simple as that. Again, if you've got any questions or anything that you think I haven't covered correctly on this video, then drop me a post in the forum, and or have a look at video 2 and see if I cover it in that one. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.